Welcome to Huddle Up with Matias Bueno. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Usually we're always talking about sports, but I felt very compelled to bring on one of Toronto's most special up and coming comedians, a man of many talents and a man that some may now label as a modern day version of Russell Peters that creates digital content instead of going on the stage at Just for Laughs. Please welcome Neema Naz onto the show. It's a great pleasure to have you, brother. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here in the Sports Center top 10 background. I feel like I'm in a real studio right now. Love it.
You have been an absolute sensation on social media with your TikTok videos and reels on Instagram, blowing up like crazy within the last several years. And I know you've talked about on your podcast before with your brother how you've always felt compelled, coming from a hardworking family that originates from Iran, that here in Canada and Toronto, you want to do something different and do something that's seen as unconventional in the household of immigrants across many different borders, not just Iran. I have many friends from different ethnicities, and even for my parents who come from Brazil and Portugal, doing things that are unconventional or subjective or the arts always seems really frowned upon, and it's not good. So what made you decide to buck the trend and to do something that's totally remarkable and different from your family's tradition?
It's a great question. I just feel like I got lucky growing up with the parents I had and the environment I had. Like, yeah, they were definitely pretty strict and like hardworking and all about work ethic and just doing your best in whatever you're doing. But they weren't really that strict in terms of like, oh, you have to do this one thing. They were just strict on like, just if you're going to do something, do it 100%. And so that like subconsciously that carried on in my brain throughout my life. But I still felt like I needed to go the traditional route my whole life, even after high school and going into university, getting your undergrad degree, just to get a degree and then get a full-time job, and then that's it, like work away for the rest of your life, build a family, and then die. But for some reason, I just had I at first when I was younger, I thought I was rebellious at the thought of like, nah, like I hate school, or I don't want to like listen to people talk about subjects I don't really care about. And I was just very not motivated by that stuff. And when I got into university, it really sunk in for me that, wow, I really don't enjoy just sitting here regurgitating information that I don't really care about. There's got to be something else I could do, because I feel like I need to do stuff. I need to be more hands-on with something. I need to create my own shit, but I don't know what that was at the time. And then pretty much at the end of my first year at university, I found comedy, which, I mean, I've been watching comedy my whole life pretty much. And like you said, Russell Peters is definitely, people are saying that I'm a modern day Russell Peters. I definitely am very grateful for that, because he was one of the first comedians I saw on TV that inspired me to even think about doing comedy or loving comedy in the first place. So I've always just been a fan of comedy and like people making jokes, especially cultural jokes or racial jokes like that on stage, which definitely motivated me to get into comedy eventually. And so, yeah, one year I found YouTube. I mean, I didn't find YouTube. I was just binging YouTube videos all year, watching stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, just different funny videos online. And I was like, it hit me. I was like, why can't I do this? Like, if all these people are doing this, and I genuinely believe that I was pretty funny, because my whole life everyone's been telling me I'm funny. So it's like, why can't I do it? Right? I just naturally felt like that way. And then I realized that there's an avenue I could take to get me into comedy, which is there's actually a program at Humber College that's a comedy program. And I found that, and I immediately dropped out of my other program to pursue this, because I was like it was a sign. I was like this is meant for me. Like I immediately kind of like it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh wow, there's actually, I could do something with comedy. And that's it. I kind of just made the decision. I dropped out after a week of finding that out, and I just started doing comedy. I was like, I have to do it. I have to do this. And that's it. And then ever since, I've been going hard every day, with my dad's words in the back of my mind, If you're going to do something, do it 100%. I haven't stopped doing that 100% since I started doing comedy. So, that's it. The grind don't stop.
10,000 hour rule, right? It's
Yeah.
so important to get in those hours and get in those reps, especially when it comes to something like comedy. Know that my brother literally moved out to Toronto for that reason, to try to get more exposure and do those kinds of things. And it's difficult when you think about it from how long it takes to achieve something that people will see on TV, for example, in a special for Just for Laughs. You're like, wow, like that guy can go up there and make people laugh for like 10, 15 minutes. But that was already determined years and years and years before. Like Russell Peters didn't just wake up one day. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to tell some jokes and people are going to laugh and it's going to be all good. Like he's been doing it for years and years and
Yeah.
years and years. And for someone like yourself, who's still super young, having this much success early on, like it can seem great in the moment, but at the same time, the goals that you've set for yourself still probably seem far away because they're so massive. And because of all the work you put in, it does take that one drop of water in the glass at a time before it gets full.
For sure. 100%. I agree with that. And it's a long game too. And I know that. So I'm not too worried about how long it takes me to get to where I want to be. Because also the way I see it is when something big does happen, for me, it's just the next thing, because I'm not just going to stop when something that I want happens. Like I want to achieve more and more and more. But that's what keeps me happy, is like just doing more shit. I don't know if I can swear, but
oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
just doing more shit that I want to do every day. As long as I'm doing that, nothing else matters. So I'm in it for the long run.
Oh, pardon me. I was just going to ask quickly. I must know, because you've done so many different writing letters to Santa, tons of different cultural impersonations. I have like literally a smorgasbord of favorites, but
nice.
What were the first few impressions or sketches that you really worked hard on in the beginning of your content creation?
So I started off with things that I know the most, or that was dear to my heart the most. So obviously my Persian background. So the very first thing I ever did in my life was make fun of my mom, because that's the easiest, right? It's the easiest thing to do. And as a kid, like so it's a fun story I always love telling people, is when I was a kid and we always had these family gatherings over, and like all their friends, my parents' friends and family, whatever, all the kids and everything, they would come over, or we'd go over to their houses, and we would be, I don't know, eating a lot of food, doing dancing. It's like a big fun culture. And then at the end of the night, they would always want to like laugh. So they would like tell jokes. Everyone's already drinking a little bit, so they're a little loose. But then they would always ask me to like go up in front of them and just like make them laugh. Like I was a monkey, like just at the time. But I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't care. I was like, yeah, for sure. I'd love to do that. But already I was so confident and just like getting up in front of like 20, 30 people and just like doing random shit. So I like that was a big factor in all of this from the jump, like just me not being shy. I was just like, I was used to getting up in front of people, like even like people I didn't really know that well that were there. And just like, I was like, okay, what's the funniest thing I know right now? And that's imitating my mom. So that's like the easiest thing to do. Right. So, that's where it all started for me, was imitating my mom. Like one classic story I always tell is whenever we go through we would go through the Tim Hortons drive-through, because she's broken English. She would always like mess up the orders, like the names of the things she's ordering, and like she would always say it backwards. So it's like we were in the drive-through, and then she's like, hi Tim, Mr. Horton, can I have the one milk chocolate large? And like, just keep saying shit like that. And then along the way, I would be correcting her and be like, no, it's chocolate milk, mom. She's like, and then she would look back and like swear at me, like as the order is going through. And so I'm just doing this whole like bit pretty much for like 3, 4, 5 minutes straight. And like everyone's dying of laughter, right? Every time I do it. And so when I first started doing comedy, that's what I would start with, is like imitating my mom in situations with my mom, how she would react in different situations, a little bit of my dad too. But my mom's really funny, and she's like funnier one in a way to impersonate. So I would always just start with that. And then from there, after I got comfortable like making people of that background laugh, I would be like, okay, well, I actually can do other things too. So why not dive into those? And so I'd start doing impressions of like just celebrities or different backgrounds, accents, because my brain is just wired to do that shit, especially because I grew up in Toronto like you did, I'm sure. you know, like it's like a melting pot of cultures that you grew up around. And it's like, I know people from every walk of life, and I've met their parents. I've seen how they talk. I've seen how they look, what they eat, how they, you know, all their mannerisms. And I was like, it's almost like a fun experiment and a challenge for me. And I never get tired of it. So I just kind of continually keep on building up my skills by just trying new shit all the time. And I know I'm going to fail a lot of the times along the way, which I have a lot, but that's the foundation to building success. So, and growing. So yeah, it's pretty much how it is.
The one thing I will say is that while I didn't grow up in Toronto, I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So Winnipeg
shit
is like a mini version of Toronto in terms of its cultural diversity. Like there's like, you want to talk about relatability, man. Every time I see you do like I went to school where like I had tons of Filipino friends, tons of friends from China, tons of friends from South Korea, tons of friends who are from Western Europe, Southern Europe, like Italian, Greek. So it's similar to Toronto in that way.
Wow.
But I will say like you're super bang on with that, because you talk about like impersonating a parent or like making fun of a parent. For us children of immigrants, it's like the first thing that we can do. And even though you know you're gonna get your ass smoked because of it, like when other people see how well you can impersonate, especially like, you know, not for it to sound bad, but it's like, and they speak broken English or like certain terms or words. Like I know tons of my friends like say like, oh, like they don't say crispy, or they say cripsy if they're like
exactly
Caribbean or, you know, Desi or whatever. So like these little mannerisms and phrases make it extra funny, which is why, you know, I think you're so successful at doing those impressions, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly, man. It's so fun to see how different cultures have their little things that they do. And it's fun to bring those to light and represent them.
I'm sure that it's really hard sometimes when you're filming impression videos or sketches to do it all in like as little takes as possible, because I'm sure that you're just whether trying not to laugh, you're trying to get it down right. People talk about the process, you know, it's about the process, not about the results. Like, can you talk a little bit about how you dive into the process of making like the same video over and over, for example, with like the writing letters to Santa? Like, how do you live through a process like that when it comes to thinking of what to say, how to script it, how to put it all together with certain shots?
Well, honestly, I don't even, for most of the videos I don't even do that many takes. I do a lot of just like one takes, to be honest, because I mean, like, I'm not even trying to brag, but I'm so good at some of them now that I don't even need, like, I know exactly how to do it within the first try or the second try or third. So it's like, but the thing is, I don't judge myself. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Like if I don't get in the first try, I can just do it again. Like I have time, like I'm making time to do this and I love doing it. So I'm not even worried. And that's what makes it easier for me to do it in a quicker amount of time, is because I'm not a perfectionist about it anymore as I used to when I first started. So when I first started, I'll be like, no, it has to be perfect. It has to be like this exactly, has to be like this. I'll be way more anal about it. But now I'm more comfortable doing what I'm doing. I'm more comfortable on camera, which matters a lot. And I just know myself more, and I'm more self-aware about each character as well. And I know exactly how they would act in certain scenes and scenarios. And I also just kind of like, I don't see it as like, oh, this has to be perfect anymore. I just be like, is it good enough where people can get it and they will laugh? Because I'm more worried about the speed of getting content out. Like I want to just do more, because the more you think about the quality of your content, the harder it is for it to be actually as good as you want. And once you start setting expectations, you're setting yourself up for more disappointment. And so for me, I don't even think about it. I just like, all right, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, who cares? I'm on to the next video already. Like, so that's what keeps me kind of going, filming my content constantly and not worrying about what people think is a big part of it. And yeah, I just kind of, you just get in a flow, man. You get in a flow of knowing it just clicks and you just do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's good. Like, the key here is I just don't overthink it anymore. And that's it. That's pretty much how it is.
That advice sounds so familiar. I feel like I've seen that in a video from like, or a few videos from someone who is pretty popular on social media. I know that they're always about, you know, don't worry about what other people think. And they say things like, you know, just, are they asking for creating content?
Yeah.
What's your name? Noel?
How old are you? Yeah, no, seriously, like it's funny because people always say like I'm at a point where people like every time I just talk about as myself and say real shit, they're like, "Yo, is that yo Gary V? Is that you? Yo, Gary V?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, I genuinely feel these things, and I I believe in these things myself." But that's also funny enough, coincidentally, it's through Gary V. Like it's funny because like everything I'm doing right now, a big chunk of it has to do with because of Gary V. Because I actually he's like my idol. Like um everything he said has helped me get to where I am today. So and yeah, sure, I make fun of him, I'm doing impressions of him, but like I actually have a lot of love for the guy. And I feel like a lot of people might not know that, or they might think I'm just like shitting on him. But you know, imitation is a form of flattery, right? So yeah, I am Gary V. I am Gary. Okay. Gary Nee. Call me Gary Nee.
And I think that's the thing that makes it so ironic at the same time, is because people will watch those videos, or like you see there's tons of content creators that make fun of Gary V, but it's like at the same time, a lot of the stuff that he says is true. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it just ironic, is because people like, oh, they love making fun of him, or saying like, you have so much time, or
Yeah.
like NFTs and just random things like that. But it's like, well, he's a person that thinks outside the box. And when you actually like follow what you love, or don't worry about what your parents say and all those
Mhm.
kinds of things, it actually helps you, which is
It does.
hilarious, because people, I feel like when I first watched his videos, I was just so mesmerized and I was in awe. But then the more I started to see it, and then when you start to like, you know, when you like love hearing what someone has to say, and then you hear someone slander them, you're like, oh, well, that's true, or that's they have a good point. And then it kind of makes you disbelieve a little bit, and you're kind of like disgruntled. But then
Yeah.
once you get over that hump, you realize, okay, take what he says
Yeah. With a
that
grain of salt.
applies to you, and then use it. And then
Yeah.
what doesn't, then just discard it. Like,
Exactly.
not everyone has $25 million to buy a
Right.
house and turn it into an NFT. Like,
Exactly. That's the thing too with like Gary Vee and like just anyone in general who does self help and stuff like that, and they're entrepreneurs. Like you know, just because you love someone like doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. I don't agree with some things Gary Vee says even, but like doesn't mean I hate the guy or I think he's a bad person or whatever the fuck people think, or a snake oil salesman. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys are crazy. Like if you just listen to what he's saying, he's actually like he's speaking the truth that a lot of people aren't willing to accept for themselves, and like he's exposing people's like excuses, and that's why people shit on him because they're like, oh, like what do you mean? Oh, he's just like he just repeat. And one thing that bothers me is like, oh, he repeats what he says over and over. I'm like, yeah, because and he actually Gary Vee explained why he does that is because well, there's always new people following him, new people that are seeing him, and the content thing I was telling you about earlier about how I just like to put out as much as possible. One of the reasons is, and the same thing Gary does is that he pumps out so much content at different times because and he doesn't give a fuck. It's because people see your content at different times, and you never know who's gonna see it and who's gonna be impacted by that content. So whether he repeats shit or not, like he doesn't care because he wants to just put his message out as much as possible to help as many people as possible. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And yeah, sure, maybe some people are like, oh, like it's the same shit or this and that. I'm like, but what are you doing? Like you're not doing nothing. So who are you to talk, right? So it's just like when people lack context and they lack self-awareness in themselves, they obviously like lash out like that and they talk shit. But what are you gonna do?
yeah, what are you gonna do, man? I mean, like, so when did you like start to pick up on Gary Vee impersonations? Was that one of the earlier ones, or was that later on after doing a lot more?
No, man, that was later on. That was like maybe like a year and a half ago at this point, 2 years almost, maybe. Um, it was after a couple of years of just doing shit like this. I actually like randomly stumbled upon it. Like I wasn't even planning on doing a Gary Vee impression, but I remember the first ever video I posted of him was because I just started to watch his content myself, and then I was like, I don't know why. I just kind of started to like imitate him a little bit, like because his voice was so easy for me to do. Because between my brother and I, we would always joke around about how he talks. And then I posted on my story, and then like funny enough, like a lot of people also knew Gary Vee, and they're like, "Yo, that shit's hilarious! So you should post this as a video." And I posted it as a video, and a lot of people loved it. And I look back at it now, I'm like, "Wow, this is a terrible impression." Like, it was nowhere near what it is now. But that's also the point of it gave me a lot of perspective. Perspective um, because I realized, man, I've grown so much in the past 2-3 years from the first time I even did a Gary Vee impression. I'm like, it's not a totally different person. So that just goes to show, like, with consistency and effort and, repetition, you can get to where you want to be, which is, for me now, my Gary Vee impression is pretty fucking solid at this point because I've done it so many times and I've practiced it and was consistent with it. And so, yeah, that was definitely and those are my favorite things to do, is when they randomly start happening. Like Gary Vee one, I didn't plan it. It just kind of like sort of happened, and I became one of the fucking most popular videos on my page now. And so that's why I love doing content too, is for that reason. You never know what's gonna pop.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the what's it called? Like I was mentioning before we started recording, like the Woodbridge Italians. I'm like, I'm sure that, if I lived in Toronto or lived in the GTA growing up, like you'd actually meet Luca Marino.
Luca Marino, that's it.
Like,
for sure.
It's so like you just throw the spaghetti at the wall and some things are going to stick, some won't. And then eventually you're going to find a way to make everything stick.
100%. And it's, I never even grew up around Italians. That's the funny part. Like, I just kind of, for me, I'm just very observant, luckily, where like I'll see someone for the first time and I could definitely impersonate them like that day. Like I just, like, my brain's just wired that way. And so for me, like the Woodbridge Italians is also one of my favorite, like people's favorites on my page. Like I met a couple of people like that, maybe like a few times in the past few years. So, and then I just I started doing it, and I don't know, naturally, I don't know. I feel like I lived these lives in a past life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Somehow it's just like in my blood. I could just do it, and that's it. I don't know, but it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially every time that I see Mr. Bobak, like it actually sends me. Like, it's so funny. But I mean, obviously, it's easier if you grew up like in a Iranian household and your whole family's from there, and you just so happen to be the first generation born in Canada. It's the same way that when I remember first seeing these group of guys from the US called the Portuguese Kids that made jokes about Portuguese culture, specifically in the Azores. It's like, it's so specific and niche that when you hear, all you need to do is just hear a few jokes or like a few accents, and then you just slap it together and start really like experimenting.
Yeah.
And then it just takes off, because it's the reason why it takes off too, is because it's something that everyone's noticed and been thinking about their entire lives. And then when someone brings it to the forward part of their conscious, they're like, oh wow, now I realize that other people experience this the same way. Which is why when you make the videos of like Mr. Bobak and saying it's stupid, like it goes crazy, because any person that has any Persian friends, literally every time I see Mr. Bobak video, I send it to all my Persian friends. It's like an automatic reflex, because that's what they know, and it's so relatable, and that's what makes it just keeps going in a cycle.
100%. I love that. And also, like, yeah, like you said, you don't even know Persian people really like as much, but like it seems relatable because you could just tell it's authentic and real because of the certain nuances that you hear. Like this stupid thing, it's like that stemmed from my mom. Actually, she's been calling me like a stupid my whole life, and so I just made it a thing. I was like, oh, like this would be funny, and then I started saying it, and then now it's like the most popular catchphrase. People call me now every day, and they're not even Persian. A lot of them are non-Persians, call me a stupid. So it's like it catches on, and it's so relatable because also as stupid is like I learned later on that a lot of immigrants say those words like that too, with the E in front of the S, and you know what I'm saying? Like obviously like Mexicans and like Latinos, they estupido, right? It's like very similar, or like Filipinos, like stupid, like stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they can't say the proper word as it is. So that's why it's relatable, because it's like all mixed up letters or adding letters, or you know what I'm saying? Like whatnot. And yeah, so I'm just glad people fuck with it and they understand the humor behind it.
Yeah, I know. Even with when I talk with some of my Portuguese friends, it's like you talk to one of their grandparents, like the th sound doesn't exist in the Portuguese language. So when they're trying to distinguish Tuesday and Thursday, it's the same. It's like Tuesday. Like you don't like which word are they saying? Like it just those little nuances of what, like, because it's like the alphabet in different languages is so vast and not all the same as like English, right? So it's like in Portuguese, like the letter K, or that they don't have th sound, those kinds
or
of
the
things.
S,
so
they say sh, right?
Yeah, sh when you pronounce S at the end. So like my name is Matias, but unless
Matias, yeah.
Portuguese is your native language, they say Matias, or people say Mateus or Matthias or whatever. Like they screw
Right.
up because they've never met someone with
Never
that
met.
name.
Yeah, Portuguese. Yeah,
So
it's
like that's
Matias.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. Like although they always say like epa, you know, like so whenever you're doing like the like it's that's the
Same
same in
shit.
like so many
Yeah,
Western European cultures. They just be like
exactly.
hey or hey, like so
Yeah.
many different variants. That's why I love that video too, because it's just
Right.
like it carries across the whole
That's what I'm
continent
saying.
of Europe too, not just in
Yeah,
Asian culture too.
exactly. That's the beauty of all this is like it's more people are more related than you think. They're more relatable than you think. Like everyone's very similar in many different ways. And even like I realized in my language, actually, it's very similar to French in a way too. There's similarities. I don't know why or how, but it just goes to show we're more connected than people think. Like just because we're different cultures doesn't mean we're completely different. Like there's a lot of similarities. And like just the immigrant lifestyle in general, like every time I do an immigrant video, like anybody from that's not Persian always relates to it. So we live the same lives in a way. It's just the language and the accents that are a little different. That's it.
Yeah, like especially when you do the videos and collabs with other creators and about like especially there's a general, I mean, obviously in Toronto there's like the biggest in Canada, but like there's a huge Filipino community in Winnipeg, and I grew up with a lot of
Yeah,
Filipino friends.
nice.
And every time I see the videos, like, my dearest Tito Nick, or like any of the, like, yeah, that might be Siniti, like all those
Yeah,
videos,
yeah.
I always send them to my friends. They're like, bro, this is literally my mom, or this is literally my dad, or this is literally my white neighbors coming to my house. Like,
So funny.
or like the Filipino guy getting brain, like, can you be my caregiver? And Gold Raptors, like, oh my God, man. Like,
Oh
I feel like
man.
I've heard that in 3 different lifetimes, I swear.
Fuck yeah. I forgot about that one actually. I totally forgot I did that one. That was funny as fuck. Yeah. I always surprise myself with these sometimes. I'm like, I didn't like I don't know that I can do certain things until that's why I like just trying new shit, because you never know what you're good at until you try it. And the Filipino one is actually like pretty easy for me to do now. Like I'm just like I never thought I could do it in my life until recently, really. But yeah, it's just so fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure if you even like have specific ones set, but like, what are some of the kind of goals and aspirations that you've thought about or mulled over during the last few years of this journey of creating content and just having tons of fun with making people laugh?
I just want to honestly like stand up is actually my main thing that I do. So I started doing stand up 7 years ago, same time I started doing content. Um, but I want to tour the world doing stand up, honestly, and just sell out venues all over the world and create content as I'm going to these places. Like it's my dream, and that's how I want to live my life. And I don't mind, and I want to do this with the people that I love the most too. That's what makes this whole thing fun and worth it. If you don't have the people around you that really matter and support you the most, then none of this really, like, what's the point? And I just want to create cool shit with my friends and just make movies and TV shows, and I want to have my own production team, everything, all that stuff. I want to kind of be like Kevin Hart level out there, you know, like this guy's a fucking comedic rock star. So that's all I want to do, just build an empire.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I'm a weird person in the sense that like I honestly don't find Kevin Hart super funny. Like I've
Yeah,
always like
fair.
I think that he like the thing about him is like he's like, obviously super successful, like, and he's in tons of movies. But I feel like sometimes he's just too much of the same thing. And I feel like whereas with someone like yourself, it's like you have so much variety, because it's not like you're just sticking to, well, I have to make Persian jokes. It's like, okay,
No.
well, how long? I'm sure that do you know the or I guess former YouTuber Just Rain? I'm sure, have you ever seen his?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Everyone says I'm just like him too.
bro, like that guy, like I literally the first time I discovered his videos, like I was crying my eyes out laughing.
So
Like
funny.
I was
I know.
losing my mind. Like especially when he had Rupon play the Desi mom. Like I swear to
Right.
God, man, like every single person that was a side character in his videos deserved an Oscar, because it was brilliant. But I remember when I lived in Toronto earlier this year, I was talking with one of my roommates who's from India, and he was saying to me, it's like, the thing that's so hard about the niche that they're in is that if they're sticking to just their culture, there eventually comes a time where you run out. Like you can't
Exactly.
make
Yeah,
an endless amount of
exactly.
jokes. Whereas with someone like yourself, it's like, if you're not limiting yourself to just making jokes about like Persian culture, then
Mhm.
the
Endless.
possibilities are endless. You can
I know.
travel the world, learn the
Yeah.
mannerisms of people from places you haven't been yet, and then boom, like the
That's
world
it.
is
It's content.
ginormous.
Exactly, man. That's the whole point. Like that's why I feel like I started off doing this in a smart way of never boxing myself in from the jump. Like I've started, yeah, obviously like Persian is like my main thing, I guess. Like at the beginning, especially, it was the main thing because it was what I knew the most in my heart. So I was excited to do it, and I just like I didn't care. Like I just wanted to put out the shit I think is funny. But then like everyone starts somewhere, right? So I just wanted to start with something that was comfortable for me and like just like just like warm up, dive my feet in with the thing that I know the most, and then yeah, like I was like, okay, very quickly before people get too comfortable with my Persian stuff, gotta start sprinkling in other shit. I don't care what it takes or if it takes a long time for people to like kind of grasp the idea that I'm not just a Persian comedian, but I had to do that from the beginning, and now I'm at a point where like it's like I have followers from everywhere, and it's not just Persian. Like, yeah, there's still a lot of Persian people who follow me because I myself am Persian, and they're like, oh, like they want to support someone of their own, which I get, which is awesome. And I obviously fuck with my people and my culture, but there's huge Italian following I have, like Greeks, you got fucking Indians, you got Asians, Filipino now, like it's Russians, a lot of Russians, Serbians, like Serbians are crazy, like I love them. And then like a lot of Portuguese, here and there, like coming through, some Brazilians. And that's before I even imitate those cultures. So let's see what happens when I do some Portuguese stuff. But yeah, like the whole point is just to like expand as much as possible, and I never want to box myself in because it just, like you said, just runs out quickly. And I actually did realize that after my first year of when I started to pick up a following, that the Persian stuff was starting to get a little like not boring, but it was getting too obvious that what the next video was going to be. So I just kind of stopped doing Persian stuff for like a few months, and it was like a little weird time, and like people were probably like, they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But if I didn't do that, I would be stuck where I was, and I wouldn't have grown this much that I have to this point. And so that's it, man. You just got to keep your options open and have an open mind, and just don't be afraid to try new stuff. That's the whole point of growing. Is if you're not trying new stuff, you're going to be complacent and stay in the same spot, and it's never going to get you anywhere. And then like, I don't know what happened to Just Rain. I wish this guy could come back because he's fucking hilarious. But yeah, maybe he probably just got overwhelmed and tired of doing the same shit. So even me, like I'm probably not gonna do accents the rest of my life. Like there's no way. Like sure, it's my main thing, I guess, right now, cultural stuff, but there's so many more aspects to me that I haven't even like kind of shown yet, which is the exciting part, because there's so much more to achieve and do. And so that's the whole point of as a comedian, especially. It's like the world is your oyster, man. Like you could do whatever the fuck you want. Like it's subjective. At the end of the day, comedy's subjective. So, if you put out something that you think is funny, people will ultimately find it funny or they won't. But like you always have to just do what you want to do and what makes you happy, and that's what will make you rise to the top. And I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, it's a great point, because like I remember seeing videos about like where did he go, all these things, and then people were talking about, oh well, he's moving on to new ventures, and some people initially were like, oh, like why would he leave YouTube or blah blah blah, but it's like, man, like if you do the same thing for like 8 years or 10 years,
yeah,
like,
I know,
long time, like especially it's not like you do one video a year, it's like you do a video like a month or a few weeks, like it gets difficult. And I've seen even with some of my favorite YouTube channels, like you eventually got to start trying new shit, because if you just keep doing the same thing over and over,
it's gonna die.
Yeah, it's gonna die, and eventually you're gonna get worn out. Like remember when I first started making TikTok videos, I'm a Jaguars fan, like in the NFL, and so like people like, oh yeah, like what do you think about the team and blah blah blah. But it's like, okay, it gets to a certain point where it's like, the team sucks, and it's depressing to like thrust yourself headfirst into news of them always finding ways to screw up. So it's like, can I find ways to like make videos with my girlfriend and things that are like funny with couples, or make jokes about like living in Winnipeg, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't believe how many people tee off on Winnipeg across the entire country, especially people that live here. Right. And I know for people who are from Toronto or Vancouver, like the two major rival cities in Canada, like people in Toronto love to shit on anyone that's not from their
I know.
city.
Yeah.
Even within their city, people love to shit on where you're from in Toronto. So
People
like,
shit on me all the time. Don't worry. Yeah.
because like you can't even imagine, like when you start to like expand and think outside the box, it's like then the sky's the limit. Like you can just
100%.
you can make movies like you
Mhm.
know. I could take you seriously, and I can also think that you're funny. It's not like, well, you have to be funny. You just have to be serious. Like, and that's why
No.
like some actors, like I know Will Ferrell, the guy literally hasn't made a funny movie since like Step Brother or since the other guys. Like pre
That's what I'm
2010, Will Ferrell, so funny. But after that, it's like, man, like it just seems like it's the same thing, and it sucks because like it doesn't take away from the movies he did before.
Yeah.
But some actors just
They stay
find
in the
that
same
one
lane.
mold, like an Owen Wilson, and then that's it. They're
I
just
know exactly. It's their own thing. It's their only avenue. But like someone like Jonah Hill is a great example of someone who's mad versatile, and it never gets old because he's funny as fuck. He's played serious roles on the other end too. So it's like not a lot of people can do that. If you can switch up like that, that's why Leo is like the fucking greatest, because this guy can play every emotion, which is fucking hard. But as a comedian, especially, you have an advantage because like if you're funny and you have comedic timing, not a lot of people in the world can do that properly. So if you have funny comedic timing and you can play serious roles, you're set. Like Jonah Hill is like perfect for that. You know what I'm saying? Because like that, but the vice versa doesn't work. Like if you're a serious actor, you can't play a funny role really. Like it's not as easy to switch it up. So that someone like me, like I'm very excited because I'm like I'm a funny guy. I have good comedic timing, but I could do some serious shit too if I wanted to. But I just haven't dived into that realm yet, which is exciting because there's so much more to discover and explore. It's just a matter of time. So, like I said, it's a long game, right? So I could do this stuff like I'm doing for the next 2, 3, 5 years. And then after that, start doing fucking bigger shit. Like, movies and TV shows and plays and shit, like writing stuff, writing for other people. Like, I don't know, there's so many different avenues to take. And it only happens when you don't stop learning shit. You got to keep like reading stuff and watching other people do their craft and research. Research is a big part of this whole thing. Like the videos you see that I'm doing right now with different accents, that wouldn't happen if I didn't talk to people from that actual culture or like learn about their culture, or ask them questions, like have a fucking 2-hour phone call with a certain person about Filipino shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just like a tiny example, but that's what's going to separate you from other people, other creators, other artists, or who want to, if you want to be great, like you got to do shit like that. And that's what I'm trying to do, man. I just want to fucking be all time and just be the best, because what's the point? Why else am I doing this? Like if I dropped everything else in my life to do comedy, why the fuck would I settle for less? Like, I want to be the best.
That's the point. Like if you already got this far, like you didn't come all this way for nothing. Like you just gotta keep going. That's it. Like,
yeah, all in or nothing, man.
So we are getting towards the end of our time in today's episode, and I want to ask you a few more rapid questions to have a little bit more fun before we part for today.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Top 3 favorite comedy movies for you. What are they?
Fuck, that's hard.
They don't have to be any particular order either. Like the first ones that comes to mind.
Right. Definitely Superbad is one of my favorites. Yeah, it's like obviously it's like a very popular one, but I really relate to that type of humor a lot, and I would love to act in something like that for sure. Any Seth Rogen movie, really. Yeah, I love Seth Rogen. But yeah, Superbad definitely. What's another good one? Funny one. Damn, put me on the spot here, Matthias.
A 40-year-old virgin to me, I'll throw that out there.
Fuck, yeah,
super underrated. Like the character development of that movie combined with the comedy is so next level.
That's good. This is 40 off the top of my head is really funny. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. That's like the
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, that's like the whatever spin-off or whatever of Knocked Up, right?
It's like kind of like a little bit, yeah.
Like the epilogue, like if there was an epilogue of that movie.
Yeah, if anything, yeah. That one's really fucking funny. Did I say 3? I don't know if I did, but
yeah, I would also throw
Step Brothers, man. Step Brothers.
Yeah, Step Brothers. You have to throw that in there. Like it's
the other guys, bro. The other guys
so good, funny. Man. Like it's like a brilliant movie. Like it's a brilliant, funny movie. Like Will Ferrell is just like dumb, but like he's
So
really
funny.
smart, dumb.
Yeah, it's perfect. Old School is a classic too, man. I don't know if you've seen Old School. Old School.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's a really good one. I love Figuring Star Marshall. I don't know, I just
Oh, right, that's a good
I
one.
think it's really, really good. But I mean,
Yeah,
like Russell Brand's to me is like they
great.
didn't give him a script. They're like, just act like yourself. That's it.
I know, it's perfect. Yeah, he's so good at it. Exactly. Yeah, there's definitely many more. I just can't think off the top of my head right. Oh man, I'm forgetting. Oh, there's so many. 21 Jump Street's pretty fucking good too.
That's a really good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I don't know. There's just many of them.
Are you good at quoting movies and shows or like?
Possibly not.
Oh no, okay. Because like I feel
like
like
a
I'm
little
the
bit.
kind of
Like
person
I
does,
know
but,
if someone says it, I'll probably like, oh, okay, that's from that movie or something. But like I can't think of it on my own really as much.
oh, okay,
Like
yeah.
I just know the general like scenes or like whatever. Yeah. Are you?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. Because I feel like I feel like each of us have our own like specific quirks with like comedy and stuff. And like if yours is accent, I feel like I love like remembering quotes and like creating an experience for someone when you like regurgitate the quotes and people are like, man, like what? Like how many times have you seen it? Like
I know.
that's when you talk about like movies like Step Brothers, it made me think, I'm like, well, what's the most quotable? Like people always quote The Office, but it's like, as a TV show. It's like when it comes to movies, it's like Step Brothers like is probably
really quotable. Yeah.
like the most quotable movie ever. Like I don't know if there's one that you could argue more than that.
Yeah. That one, yeah. There's too many. There's a bunch I'm probably forgetting, but I don't know. A lot of the black comedies, man, are pretty funny too, man. There's a lot of like good black comedies. I genuinely like Barbershop. It's not really that like as funny, but it's just like a good movie in my opinion. It has really funny elements to it, which I really like, and all the Friday series too. I haven't seen those.
I haven't actually seen any of them, but I have heard.
Really? Oh yeah,
shit, I've heard they're really good. But
Friday, bro, that's like legendary, like Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. It's like it's iconic.
It's like I remember seeing the trailers and all this stuff as a kid, but like I just like
right.
I
you should watch it, man. It's really fun. There's 3 movies too. It's like really good. Friday, next Friday, and Friday after next.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to do that then.
It's like a Spider-Man trilogy out here.
Yeah, like I was literally watching like clips from all the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans yesterday, and people were saying like
same.
people saying like, oh, it's so like it's corny or it's dumb. I remember being told as a kid, because I mean we're probably in the same age range, like mid-20s, and growing up as a kid, like I remember getting the VHS tape for Spider-Man 1 on my birthday, and like I was just like I loved it so much, and people were like, oh, like they're so corny and stupid. It's like, how many memes and like jokes have they created that have stood the test of time?
I know.
Like Spider-Man 1 literally turns 20 years old next year. Like, can you?
That's insane. Wow, I can't believe it.
Like it's like the series version of like Shrek, like Shrek 1 and 2. Like
Shrek.
People now make jokes about how iconic their soundtracks are. It's like Shrek's already 20 years old. Like Shrek 2 is gonna be 17 years old. It's like, man, like those movies, even if it seems campy or whatever weird as a kid, it's like they hold their value for a reason.
Yeah, man. Wow. I can't believe it. Yo, Office Space is a classic too. I don't know if you've seen that.
That is an amazing, like if you know. Office Space is like, people love quoting The Office, and then sometimes they think they're really fancy and say, oh, I love The Office UK. And I'm like, bitch, please. I love Office Space. If you
Office Space, bro. That one's,
you've seen that movie, like
a great comedy movie.
It is so amazing. Like, especially every scene with Mr. Lumbergh. Like, if you could insert blank, that'd be great. Okay. Great. Especially Milton. Like, oh man, Milton's like
fucking Milton, bro.
Like, bro, I didn't even realize as a kid, like that Milton, the actor for Milton, Stephen Adams, like does the voice of what's his name, Bill from King of the Hill, like the fat bald guy with the wife beater. Yeah, because Mike Judge made Office Space, the guy who created King of the Hill. And he's like, whatever, Jennifer Aniston's boss. He says, now I need to be wearing 13 pieces of flair. Like that's Hank's voice. Like, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like,
oh man, that's true. Fuck, now it's just like sparking different movies in my mind now. Like We're the Millers, bro.
I watched a movie in theaters. That was a good movie.
That was good. That was a solid, funny movie. Yeah.
It was definitely one of those like fun, like 2014, like throw some good actors in there, like some good jokes, wholesome stuff. Like, it's not like the best movie in the world, but
it's entertaining as fuck. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. It's enjoyable. And like when you watch those cult classics, like, I mean, I love the movie Caddyshack, but like not a lot of people my age have seen it. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
There's even it's kind of fucked. Like I really love grown-ups.
really?
Yeah, everyone shits on grown up. I'm like, I love that shit. I love that family vibe,
That's
So
fair,
a
man. Like,
good
listen,
feel
bro,
good
like,
movie. I feel
yeah,
at
bro, like,
home and cozy.
like all the power to you, man. Like, listen, I am for sure on team. Like, I'm on the team that shits all over grown-ups, 1 and 2 for sure. But like, that's, I don't know. It's just
Hey man, to
like,
each
I feel
their
like
own.
you love it or you hate it. Like, I
To each
love
their own.
Napoleon Dynamite, and some
Oh
people
yeah. Fuck.
roast it like crazy. And I'm like, how?
I know.
Like, this movie is so ahead of its time. It's insane. Like, they literally
So
made the movie, like, it cost $400,000 to budget, and it
I
made
know.
40 million in the box office. Like,
Easily. That was perfect. Yeah.
like it's just like,
Iconic.
to me, the scene that most best like personifies how crafty the movie is when Uncle Rico, when Napoleon's mad at Uncle Rico for like sharing the bus must plus posters at school, and he's driving in like the orange, like, creep van,
Yeah.
and then when he throws the grapefruit at the windshield and he
Yeah.
yelps, like,
Yeah.
I read the comments on YouTube and it was like the director didn't tell like him that he was going to be throwing it, and he just said whatever, like, we're going to need this for
Oh,
later. So that's like a genuine yelp, which is what makes
that's
it even more
funny.
amazing.
That's even more amazing. 100%.
Like, we're having too much fun here, man. I
Too
don't
much
think it's
fun.
illegal to have too much fun, but
No,
like you
I gotta
said,
go watch these movies now. Fuck.
like, gotta go and watch some movies. And I mean, you might have to, ask Santa for some extra virgin olive oil or some cashews or walnuts. Like,
100%, bro. All day.
yeah, I don't know, man.
Some
Like,
Henny. That's it. Some White Oak.
yeah, literally, yeah. Like, this one is cashew, walnut,
You like
almond.
nuts? You like nuts?
Oh man.
Pistachio, walnut, cashew, donut, everything.
Even the Gordon Ramsay ones, man, like, those are really, really brilliant. I got to give you a lot
Right.
of props on that, man. Like, it's not
Thanks.
easy. Like, I feel like
It's not.
people, they try to do British accents like crazy, but it's so hard to like really, really master it. Like, that's a hard one.
Yeah, no, I'm luckily. Honestly, I could tell you the British accent in general, like any dialect, has been super hard for me to learn. But I've gotten much better for sure in the past couple of years just by practicing. That's all it is. Like, just by practice, it's been super easy. And yeah, now I just, like, with the Gordon Ramsay, I watch videos and I just kind of I could just mimic it, and there you go. It's like you just kind of get the gist of how they speak, and then you just take it from there, and it becomes a thing.
Who is the person that has inspired you the most in your life, whether it be a family member, like friend, celebrity, athlete, whatever? Like, one person that just like boom, they are like your biggest inspiration.
Yeah, 100%. My boy Kobe Bryant, Black Mamba, rest in peace, Black Mamba. Mamba mentality, man. That's what inspired me. It sounds corny as fuck, but I don't care, because that really, truly, he changed my life for sure. Like, just with his mindset and his drive to be great at his own craft, made me want to feel that same way with my craft, and pushed me from just like his work ethic. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, I've read his books, I've watched his documentaries and stories about him, like everything. And yeah, it's no one's as inspiring as Kobe Bryant was to me, for sure. I was shocked when he died, and if it actually drove me to go harder in my career after he died, because I'm like, wow, fuck. If Kobe Bryant's dying out of nowhere, then like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I could be going so much harder, because like I could die tomorrow. I could
Yeah.
get hit by a bus. Then am I happy with how I live my life until this day? That's what I think about now. And so all that shit just connected for me, especially after he died. And then I was like, God damn. So I now every time I am lacking a little bit of motivation, or I'm in a slump, I just go back to like, okay, what would Kobe do? You know what I'm saying? Like, he would just keep going. He would just keep grinding. So yeah, it's definitely that guy. Every time I talk about him, I start getting emotional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, literally, man. Like, it's just
Hard.
like, bro, like, I remember like just sitting there laying on my bed listening to sad music, crying on the day it happened. And the next day went to school, like literally 4 of us all wearing like Kobe Laker jerseys, all just like getting in a group hug. And even like one of the professors was like, it feels like a family member died. Like that's literally what it felt like
Yeah, I
at
know.
school. Like it
I
just or
know.
everywhere. Like
It was fucked. Like legit. I know. I was crying for days. Like I was like, I couldn't. I had to perform that night too. I was in Minnesota when I found out. I was doing a tour, a stand-up tour, with another comedian, and I had to go on stage. And I was like, whatever. I was just like doing 15 minutes of my material. The whole time, in the back of my head, I'm like, Kobe's dead. Kobe's dead. Kobe's dead. And as soon as I got off stage, I started bawling my eyes out in the back. I was like crazy. Like all this emotion just kind of like went over me. I was like, I didn't think I'd be affected this much by it, but because when you like idolize someone that much and you really like follow their journey, especially with social media, it's become so much easier to do that. You feel like you know that person and like you're a part of their life. And so like if he touched me that much, like think about fucking all the other people he's inspired. It's crazy.
think about like family, friends, like that's the thing that's most mind-blowing. Like if someone who you never met in your entire life can change your existence that much, it's like, well, like man, I don't know. It was extremely sad, of course, but the one thing I take away from it is kind of like yourself is like if you can use that as like motivation to like show if he can die unexpectedly, anyone can, then it just memento mori, right? Like remember death and
Yeah. Yeah.
just go as hard as you can, right? Like
Memento mori is a big thing for sure. Yeah. My brother actually got a chain says that like
oh
last
really?
week. Yeah. Really into that stuff.
There,
Um
literally, man.
man, yeah, it's so true though. Like yeah, like after like especially it gave me a lot more perspective too. I was like life is like way more fragile than you think. It's not even that it's short, it's just fragile. Like so like I said, I used a bus test, and as Gary Vee also talks about, it's like you could walk outside tomorrow and get hit by a bus and die. But are you happy with how you lived your life until this day? Like that's what drives him to do better, or like it gives you perspective on like why you should do shit you love for this reason. Because Kobe Bryant died, I'm gonna fucking die. Then what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like why wouldn't I do what I want to do? It's like he was 40. He had a whole other career ready for him to after his basketball career. Like he was gonna inspire fucking millions of people for sure with his books and tours and stuff he was gonna probably do, like everything. So yeah, that one definitely fucked me up. But yeah, he's a huge inspiration, 100%. Every time I feel low or whatever, or I don't have motivation, I'm like, yo, mama mentality, let's fucking go, push through it. If I'm working out, same shit, or anything in life, really. I'm like, I gotta get through this. Just fucking mama mentality, push through. It's like,
That's it, man. Just like that's it. Like you gotta do it. Like, cause like you said, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, it's like every person's gonna die. So why would you like play defense your entire life rather than just try to play offense and go out swinging? Like Kobe always used to say, it's like you went 3-24. Why would you stop shooting? Why didn't you stop shooting? It's like, because if I stop shooting, it means I lost confidence. Like,
yeah, that's true. Exactly. I agree with all that logic. And like, even when there's always an interview where they're up like 2-0 in the finals.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's like, are you happy with you're up to it? He's like, why would I be happy? Like, job's not finished.
Yeah.
And
What's
like,
there to be happy about? Job's not finished. Not
yeah,
finished?
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
Like,
yeah. So I'm not, yeah. So like that shit fucking like gives me chills every time. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking true, man. Just keep going. Like, you can't be satisfied ever, really. Like, you can't be satisfied with just one small win. Like, you gotta always be fucking striving to win. That's it.
my final question for you is this: what is one goal that you have for yourself in 2022?
Well, that's a good one. One goal. It's just like a life goal, or
Yeah, life goal. It doesn't have to be necessarily related to career. It could be. It could be like something funny, something small, something serious, something huge, like whatever.
Yeah.
You like.
My goal is, well, definitely to put out as much content as possible. Create content.
Are you making content?
Make. Just to stay more consistent. And honestly, I just want to like I want to I want to act in bigger things. I want to act in like TV shows and movies. And I want to create my own shit. I want to create my own like TV series and movie. I want to write my own stuff. So, yeah, I want to write my own movie. I want to write my own TV show.
There you go. Boom. That's perfect. And with that, bro, I want to thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Keep going, please.
And to collab with Gary V 2022.
Yes, there you go. Book it, please, folks. Make sure that you go check him out on social media at Neema Naz. Please go blow up every single Gary V video and tag Gary V so that he can say crushing it so much time, ha ha ha, and literally change this man's life so his mom doesn't call him stupid anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he can get all the walnut and almond and cashew that he likes.
Exactly. And all the mortadella and spros.
Yeah, literally. So you don't have any stronzos coming and ruining your day, you know?
Yeah.
You don't need any munch cakes making you hot dogs.
Exactly. No morts allowed. So, and that's it, man. I wanna be on Gary V's podcast as Gary V, giving him advice on how to live life.
I
will. You think garage sales?
Oh man, it's amazing.
It's gonna happen.
Like,
you heard it here first. It's gonna happen. 2022.
It's dropping, man. Shit. I literally saw a video today on TikTok of a guy saying duetting until Gary Vee says something stupid. He's like, if you had a $25 million house and you made it an NFT, and then the guy just left the video, and I was like, bro, like for sure, I can see you being in the Gary Vee studio
100%.
On his show. Like I saw one guy who I follow his YouTube channel and he does impersonations of Jordan Peterson.
Oh, okay.
And then went on Michaela Peterson's podcast with Jordan Peterson and impersonated Jordan Peterson in front of Jordan Peterson. I was like,
exactly,
bro, you got to do a Gary Vee, man.
Like happening, bro. It's definitely gonna happen. Man, he followed me on TikTok, and Twitter. So, bro, that says something. And I posted a screenshot. I have the proof. Someone posted my Gary Vee video and said, "Yo, Gary Vee, you're the best." And then Gary Vee himself commented under the video, "Haha, he's the best." So that says something, bro. That says something.
It's coming. 2022, big things. Can't wait.
Value.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you go eat some blueberries now, man. I know that's.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna get 17 blueberries.
Man, I want to thank you so much for having been on today's episode. It was a super amazing time, and I feel like just again the relatability. Like I feel like you're someone I've known, like in a second life or like my entire life. Like I just feel like one of my friends who is from an immigrant household from this place in Asia that's really funny and loves all the same movies. Like even though I've never seen you in person, it's like, bro, like I've known you my whole life, and that's what makes you so funny, man. And I want to thank you and appreciate and acknowledge you for all the great things you do, all the content on TikTok you make and Instagram. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm loving to see everything that's going to come up in the next year and for the many years to come, man. Thanks for being on today's episode. It was a great blessing.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it so much. I'm grateful to be able to connect with people like yourself all around the world. That's my goal, man. I'm here for the people, for myself mostly, but also for the people. And that's it, man. Just going to create more content and just be authentic. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck your parents.